Hey there guys, so today I'm going to make a center cap for replacing the secondary mirror in an 11-inch EdgeHD for the purposes of centering the secondary correctly. So if your secondary holder is not centered, which is what we're talking about, and really the corrector plate. So you have the corrector plate that has a hole in it, and then the secondary holder slides through that hole and it screws on from the inside. That can also, there's a little wiggle room there. That could also be off center with relation to the corrector plate. But the place that Celestron wants you to actually adjust is within the corrector plate itself. There are four set screws or grub screws around the circumference of the EdgeHD. You have to take off like the first one, which is just, it holds it in place. And then the second one actually has like little Delron or nylon tips that hold the corrector plate. So you can adjust the position of the corrector plate up, down, left, right, etc. So if you put a collimating laser through the back of the visual back, the 2-inch receptacle, and have it shine through the baffle tube and out the front, normally it would hit the secondary mirror, go back, hit the primary mirror, and then it would go out someplace. So what you're doing by removing the secondary mirror is you're giving it a direct path through the center of the baffle tube and through where the hole is where the secondary was. So by placing a cap on there with a hole punched in the middle, you can see if that is all on axis, because if the laser shines through that hole, you're centered. If it's off, then you know you're not. So the way we used to do it is you would take you take the corrector plate completely out, obviously the secondary as well. You'd put it face down or outside down on a piece of paper, construction paper or whatever. Then you would trace from the inside hole. You just trace around a couple times, take it apart. Then you would cut the circle out, and then you fold it in half, and then pinch the fold so it's nice and flat and straight, and then unfold it, and then fold it the other way so that the lines that you just made in the fold lined up perfectly, end to end. Crease it again, and then unfold it. Now you have a big plus sign or an X, depending on how you look at it, where the center is the center of the circle. Then you just poke a hole, or even if completely folded, you just barely snip off the end of it or whatever, unfold it, and then you would just kind of from the inside, you'd kind of push it forward and kind of position it as close as you can to flush. And that was the easy way to do the same thing. But I'm going to make one on my for my 3D printer to print. So with that, we're going to get going here. I'm over here on Tinkercad.com, and Tinkercad allows you to design things online and then export it for your slicer. So I'm using a donut to start with. And by clicking on any of these little squares on the bottom here, I can change the dimensions. Now I know that mine is pretty much 86.4 and 86.4. Then I want to do sides. I want to make it as many as possible so that it looks nice and circular. Move this sort of towards the center. And then I want the wall thickness to be maxed out at 30, which leaves a hole that's way too big in the middle. But what we have here is in the middle of this, we have that, see this little dotted line right here that my mouse is moving? That's the center. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to find a nice dark, and also you have to come down here to snap grid, which is on the bottom down here. And I'm going to turn off snap grid. That allows me to be able to move it more fluidly. And I'm going to put that line right where some, a dark conjunction is. It's just easier to see. See that? Nice. All right. So now that I have that, I don't need it to be this tall, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. Okay. And I can make it even. I can say like 5. There, 5 millimeters in thickness now. Now I'm going to make a hole here. The hole, by clicking on this gray ghosted one over here in the top right hand corner, whatever this is grouped with will make the same size hole. So I could click again on these squares, they start at 20. I'm going to make them 2 by 2. Oops, that's 0, 2. Now I have this, this basically it's a cylinder that's a hole. Now I'm going to click on the top square and I'm just going to drag it up to make it long. All right. Now what I need to do is you can see the center has also the dashed line, and I want to line that up with the same center. That way we know that we have a centered thing here. And I'm going to do top, and I'm going to move this around a little bit until it lines up right on that same center position. I'm holding down the center mouse wheel, and by holding it down, I can move the frame, you know, the table around. And I'm just going to zoom in, and I'm going to right click to move the position of the camera. So I don't think it's quite lined up. It has some room to improve. Right click. That actually looks pretty good. Okay. So now I'm going to drag the whole down. And so on top, you see these black triangles, like a raindrop. It indicates which way you can go. So I'm going to go down. See that? Now it sticks to the whole thing like an axle. All right. So the next part is I need a lip so that the cap does not fall into the telescope. So for that, I'm going to make another one. I'm going to click here. I'm going to change it to like 95. 95. And then I'm going to move the sides all the way out. And it's going to come over the top of this as well. But I want the part that we just did, I want it to be on top, not on the bottom. So I'm going to move this out. And I'm going to grab onto this, and I'm going to pull it up off the thing. And I'm going to grab this one, and I'm going to slide it under, and then I'm going to make it smaller. We can also make it 5. It's just for, like, you know, giggles here. 5. All right, and then we're going to go click on this one again, and then the little thing, and we can bring it down. I want to bring it down so that it sticks up a little bit. And in fact, I want it probably bigger than 5. I want it maybe 8. Because I'm going to have it sink in about 3. Okay. And now I'm going to click on the bottom one again, and I'm just going to move it around until it looks like it looks. It just, because all it does is, like I said, it's a lip to prevent it from falling into the telescope. So that looks fine. And then, like I said, on this one on top, I just want it to stick up. So I did 8. So if I go down, like, you know what, even there is fine. That gives it plenty of parts that stick up, right? Okay. We're almost there. We're almost there. And because that hole is going through everything, we're always going to have a hole no matter what. All right. Now I want there to be more room around here, because my concern is that if the laser is off center, so it's not poking directly through the hole, but maybe off a little bit, I want the laser to be able to be seen in some way from the front. So in other words, if you print this on black, for example, the laser might not, it's not going to go through it. You're not going to see the red dot. So I prefer to print it out on something white and almost translucent, so you can kind of see in the front where it might be. So I'm going to put this, and I'm going to do top view, and I'm going to try to orient it as close as I can to the center without caring too much, because like I said, all I'm trying to do is cut a little hole so that it's not as thick. And then I'm going to drop this down while looking on the inside there. In fact, I might just drop it all the way down and then bring it back up. Still sticking through too far. Okay, now let's see what we got here. So if I group them all and then hit group, we now have a hole through the middle. And then we have a thicker hole. All right, and with that, we could put a little text on there. So some text. And the text we can say 11, oops. Oh, it's really difficult to type it. Okay, 11 EdgeHD. And then I'm going to shrink this way down like this. And I'm going to make it not as high. And then I'm going to pull it. And then I'm going to raise it up so that it kind of sticks through. I want it to not be that high, so down, 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 down. Just so there's like a little impression of what it goes to. Doesn't look centered to me, so I'm going to move it over a little bit. There. Just like that. Okay. And then I want it to print from this side up, so we don't need any rafts, we don't need any supports, we don't need anything, not even any adhesion. We just print it as is. And it won't be the colors that you see here. It'll be whatever color filament you use. And like I said, I'm interested in using like a white translucent or something. So anyways, if the laser is anywhere within this circle, which, I mean, that would be a lot of error, you should be able to see it through that much material. Especially if it's not, you know, a dark color, if it's a light color. With that, we hit up here, we go to what they call the name, and we're going to change it to EdgeHD 11 center cap. And export STL, and now I can print it with my Cura. So I can load up Cura. I'm going to do a different Cura, because I'm finding that Cura 4.1.0 does a better job than 1.1 or 11, 4.11. I need to work on doing Prusa. I have it. There it is right there. I just haven't configured everything and done some test prints to learn it. So, all right, and we're going to open, and we're going to go to here, open, and there's our center cap. It's warning me that there's a new one available. So I'm going to do, for print settings, I'm going to do, yeah, that's fine. That's draft. No, I don't want draft. I want like normal. Normal. Infill 20 is fine. Slice. And I brought the card in, so 3 hours. Take my SD card, put it in the SD card reader. SD card reader into the slot on the computer. It then says, do I want to save to removable? But first I want to come in here and delete the one that I just printed because it was in error. So I go save to removable. It saves it to removable, hit eject. Now I'm ready to take this out, plug it into my printer, and print it. And that's it. So I hope this was an easy one for you guys to do. Enjoy, but just don't resell it. Okay, I don't want to see these end up on some reseller site. Make your own. Okay, so a little follow up here. Sorry, I made a new one. This is, it fits down in the secondary holder, see? So you remove the secondary, And I made little handles here so you can hold it with your fingers better. And then I made a cute little design with a star. Then I put Celestron 11-inch EdgeHD so I knew which one it went to. I just stick it inside. It's got that center hole. And then on the back, I got this laser that I got on Amazon. And I just put it to the right, come around here to the front. First of all, you can see my dog out there, but you can see the laser on the wall. And you can't quite see because of the fact that the camera picks up red extra good. So I'll bring the focus way down, or the exposure way down. That kind of helps, but anyways, you could see if there's any hot spots or off centering. And then if I come in here, back over here, and this is on position 7. So if I go to like to position 1, so it's not so bright, what I'm looking for is to see if it's like, you know, more on one side than the other. Like you can see the top isn't illuminated, but the bottom has a little bit. So it's like, it's got a little bit of room to improve. I can drop the corrector plate a smidgen. I can come back over here. Let's bring this exposure up a little bit. I can go to, let's say, to 3. So you can see it touches on the bottom just a little bit. So it's pretty close. It does still show up on the wall. But that's just a handy little tool that I made to center the secondary. And I made it, like I said, I made it really thin right here so that you could see the laser through the plastic. And you can see if it was off center quite a bit. So with your own eyes, it's not, you know, doesn't bleed out as much as it does with the cell phone camera. So just letting you know. But anyways, yeah, I got dust on the corrector I got to get rid of. It's on my list of things to do today. I got to go to Target and get some compressed air.